Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to this wonderful gathering in honor of Declan. And without any further ado, we're going to begin with a short video. So please cast your gaze to our video screen. It's a short video compilation of Declan.
I don't know why God always takes the good ones first. And man, I've tried to be strong and carry on, but damn, this hurts. And I just wish that I could talk to you again somehow, some way. Even if it's for a moment, so I can hear you say, don't cry for me, I'm alright. Yeah, I'm better than you know. And this life can be short or right, so don't waste it on sorrow. Just hold on to those moments and the memories we shared. We're both headed for the same place anyway. I just beat you there. So I'm gonna smile when I think of you, like I know you'd want me to. And I know you're watching over me and everything I do, and all those things I never got to say. Well, I'll send them with this prayer, then look up, wipe my tears and raise my beer. And I'll see you there.
And now we'd like to call forward Charles and Carrie Kyler. They're going to be offering a greeting to everybody. Please give them your undivided attention. Take it away, Charles and Carrie.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started. And by the way, I'm loving all of the Hawaiian attire and all of the wonderful football garb. Great way to tribute to Declan. Give a hand to yourself. Yes, we're going to. This is not going to be a typical thing, okay, you guys? So we want you to have fun. We want you to be interactive. And before we get too far along, we were already introduced. But Charles, why don't we introduce ourselves?
Charles, aka Uncle Chuck, which probably 80% of you doubt. I'm Pat's brother. Raise your hand if you knew that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
One. The family didn't even raise their hand for that. Thanks, guys.
Anyway.
And I'm Aunt Carrie, so I'm with this guy. Quick story, because we want to get into the program. I wanted to just share the first time that we met Declan. And Tiffany will remember this particularly because we have a photo that commemorates it. Declan was probably, 2-3 weeks old? Something like that, maybe a week old. We had Kati, who was 9 months old, and we have a photo, and Declan is so tiny next to Kati. And I swear that's probably the last time that Declan was actually smaller than Kati and even smaller than me, right? So it's so cute, it's so wonderful. And he was always so great with his cousins and so boisterous and so wonderful to them as they were growing up. But anyway, this is not about our stories today. Today is about your stories. And before we go any further, Pat, Tiffany, and Madison pulled together some opening remarks that they would like for us to convey. Charles, you want to kick us off?
You betcha. Let's see here. Declan had a big impact on and a larger-than-life personality. I remember when I first met Declan.
No,
that's
you're down
you.
here. You're down here.
You got this. She highlighted it for me.
I did.
All right, there we go. The Kyler family wishes to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your schedules and your lives to come here to celebrate Declan's. As a family, we have been touched by your generosity and outpouring of support. Together, we are going to go on a journey today. There will be peaks and valleys, sentiment and tears, but we can truly celebrate Declan without honoring the pure joy, the laughter he brought to us.
So as we all know, laughter is the best medicine. So the family encourages you to laugh out loud along with us today. Celebrate the ridiculous and all the qualities that made Declan so very special. As an extreme extrovert, as I mentioned a moment ago, Dec was unapologetic, boisterous, goofy, and always the life of the party. I think I'm squealing here. If you didn't know him when he walked into the room, you never forgot him once he left.
Declan loved nothing more than in the intensity of his friends and family. Through football and showing off his hip-hop moves, which he had quite a few, that would come to a close second. While we touch more on his family and athleticism today, later on, we feel it's important to share Declan's many attributes.
So while Declan was an incredibly gifted athlete, many are surprised to learn that Declan did very well in school. I mean, not me, but sorry to break the fourth wall here. He was really smart. He maintained a 3.5 GPA, earning multiple scholarships and a full ride to college in Minnesota.
Surprise to no one, he loved the outdoors with a passion. Hunting, boating, camping, riding ATVs, but he was never happier or more at peace than fishing with his family and friends.
When celebrating all of Declan's loved ones today, we would like to take a few moments to recognize his girlfriend Cora and the entire Tokach family and friends in Minnesota, who became such an integral and important part of his life, supporting Declan during his 4+ years there.
Sadly, Cora's father, Wayne, lost his only son, who was close to Declan's age at the time of his passing. So shortly after meeting Cora's parents, Declan and Wayne bonded instantly. With 4 daughters, Wayne was naturally ecstatic to have a hunting and fishing buddy back by his side. The two of them were inseparable, over the years creating stories and memories together that will last a lifetime.
Unfortunately, Declan and Wayne's time together was cut way too short when Wayne suffered a massive stroke, also passing away unexpectedly last year, just months before Declan. In honor of their close bond, the family asked Declan to recite Wayne's eulogy. A little daunting considering Declan had never spoken in public before. Looking back on Declan's loving words that day, they now hold even more prophetic meaning now for all of us in hindsight. As fate would have it, Declan also handpicked the song for Wayne's memorial slideshow that day.
Declan obviously couldn't have known at that time, but the family believes he couldn't have chosen a better, more poignant and meaningful song than, if he had tried. So here we are, so when we hear that song today, we will smile, knowing that these two close fishing buddies have reunited and are somewhere in heaven right now, casting a few lines, sharing a few beers, and toasting to all of Declan's loved ones gathered here today. Some of you are probably asking, why are we including the story of Declan delivering Wayne's eulogy here?
And if you haven't seen it, I totally encourage you to watch it. It's fantastic. That speech touched so many that day and became one of the proudest moments, not only for Cora and her family, but for our family and for Declan as well. Why? Well, believe it or not, written in true Declan-style humor, it somehow turned into multiple job offers and future speaking engagements that day, including one from the pastor himself, later even a request to officiate a wedding. Something ignited in Declan that day. Having always loved an audience and making people happy, Declan was ecstatic, certain he was on the path to becoming the next motivational speaker. Who knows?
That's it?
No, you got one more.
Hello. One thing we know for sure is Declan was many things: kind, loving, funny, generous, loyal, caring. For the short time he was here with us, he lived a full life and a fulfilling life. He was the best son, brother, friend, boyfriend, grandson, nephew, his friend, could ever ask for. He touched so many lives and was loved by all who met him. Just take a moment, look around this room. We're not the only ones we're not sure if it gets much better than all of this.
So as we move forward, we want to start with a few words from some of Declan's Minnesota family and friends who could not be here with us today. From there, we will turn the focus back to his close circle of friends and immediate family and build with a few laughs and great stories along the way. So let's get to it. As Declan was fond of saying constantly in his badly acquired thick Minnesota accent, I'm going to need an assist here. Who's from Minnesota? He used to say, I guess, here we go. How do I say this?
Here we go.
Here we go. I can't do Minnesota. Sorry, guys. That's excellent. Let's do it on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Excellent.
So we've got some tissues up here for you all. We've got a couple of beers over here if you need some liquid encouragement while you're up here. And this is how it's going to work. Greg's going to take over everything from here on out and say what you feel. Bring it from your heart.
Thank you, everybody.
Now enjoy 2 short videos.
I remember the first time I met Declan, and I saw his size, and I went, holy shit, that's a big dude. Yeah, I really did. I went, wow, that is a big, big guy. And yet, he had such a tender heart as well. I mean, his physical stature was really matched by the size of his heart, wasn't it? And it really was. Such a warm, gentle, spirited gentleman. I know that that's what drew Cora to him. And that's what kept her wanting to move forward and celebrate life with him. And that's part of the deep grief that we all share. And we're walking with you today in that grief, Cora. One of the things that was true about Declan was that he was the master of drawing people together. And today is witness to that. But the first time I really got to see it was at Wayne Tokash's funeral, when Declan got up to share about Wayne, talk about him, share about his life. And I watched him do that in such an eloquent speech laced with humor and quotes and family anecdotes. As Marcy put it, Declan was really a piece of the puzzle that came into the family and helped draw things together in a unique and powerful way, including those places where grief had left a real gap. And I think that's absolutely true.
Little did I know at that time that Declan was going to be hunting with us up in our land in Sandstone. He got hazed the first year. If you don't go to deer camp, everyone's been called camp bitch, at least yes. Wayne, the first year, Wayne bought a big cot for Declan, and he stayed in the ice castle. And you knew that Wayne really liked him because the year after that, Wayne actually built like a custom bunk in his ice castle that could hold a big football line. And I'm like, all right. So Declan's the real deal. Declan was one of those guys that anyone could get along with, and it was apparent that I could learn a lot from this young man who took the utmost care of everything in his life, whether it be his schooling, his job, his love for Cora, his love for his family in Arizona and Georgia, and the rest of the Tokash family and friends. And even his jacked up pickup truck. One of the best memories I have of Declan was when he gave what I can only characterize as one of the best eulogies a man could get, when he eulogized Wayne and Cora's dad. It was heartfelt, funny, serious, and borderline absurd. All in the same speech, which hits all of the right tones of a man who knew Wayne for only a few years, but his words felt like he knew him forever.
Declan was the star of the show in every aspect. He was the loudest one in the room, whether he was singing,
laughing, shouting his winnings and cards, or rooting behind Cora in all of her successes. Hey, I couldn't even hear that guy from a mile down the road in his old truck. Anyways, they all knew when he was in the room, and the room is notably more quiet now. So, to give you a little backstory on this picture, that was the gift that Declan for Christmas this year. And truly, I thought there is no way that Cora would let that be hung up on the wall. It did not fit the aesthetic of their heart. But anyways, on December 23rd, Cora and I decided we would do our Christmas together early, which ended up being a blessing, because we had originally planned to do it on New Year's Eve. When Declan started opening this gift from Chris and I was so nervous because I had no idea what Cora was going to think. But to my surprise, Declan opened it and both of them started bursting out laughing. And then discussing where they were going to hang it up in there.
Well, hello everybody. Fancy to meet all of you here once again. So I am not the best when it comes to public speaking. No comparison at all to the talent that our lovely Declan had. Performing was definitely one of his many, many expertise. However, if he was here now, he'd be cracking some smart-ass joke and pushing me up here with the biggest smile. And so here I am. Here you go, Declan. Through the years, Declan had grown to steal not only Cora's heart, but the heart of many of us, or all of us in this room today. On the very last night of our time cut too soon together, Mom, Leah, Cora, Brent, and I were in our truck driving home from our grandparents' house after we had had a Christmas dinner. And Declan had elected himself to be our DJ on the drive home. And I mean, he was rocking it, you guys. He was singing and dancing, rapping, I mean, all the things. He was doing so good. He had every single one of us in that car singing and dancing to things like Bohemian Rhapsody, Ice Ice Baby, Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. I mean, it was all over the place, but boy, was it fun. And before we knew it, we were home, and that was the quickest hour-and-a-half drive we've ever had. But to think of this situation, I feel that it describes Declan pretty dang well. To take something as ordinary as a simple car ride home and turn it into something that was so memorable and fun, filled with laughter and joy. And to keep his spirit alive, I feel, or I hope that all of us can strive to be a little bit more Declan-like. By finding laughter and fun in the day-to-day, the things that may seem mainstream, letting the little things go, and love like you've never loved before. Love you, Duncan.
Well, this is pretty cliche that we're all here drinking today. As I met Declan and Cora both through down known at Gabby's. I was lucky enough to meet Declan as a co-worker relationship and have it turn into a very good friend relationship. Got to go on vacation with him and Cora, and like Dylan said, share laughs and laughs. But no, this is good. We're all here looking to toast to Declan, so let's all raise a glass, and we're all looking forward to meeting you again one day, buddy. Here's the Declan.
When I first met Wayne, I shook his hand, sat down, got to know him. It was a pretty short weekend as we had to go back to school, so we headed home pretty shortly after our meet. A couple of short months later, COVID happened, and I found myself moving in, living in Marcy and Wayne's basement. At the time, I was supposed to be only in the basement 8 weeks until COVID blew over. Well, 8 weeks turned into 8 months. During those 8 months, I had the privilege of learning Waynelage. Some of yourselves are asking, what is Waynelage? Waynelage is what I call Wayne language. During this time, I figured out what that meant. What "can you hand me the deal" means. I learned the deal could be a rake in the garage or leftover Chinese food in the fridge. I figured out "here we go" meant we were about to get into something that wouldn't always end in the way we wanted it. I figured out "chop chop" meant Wayne was either leaving with you or without you. Lastly, free. Free meant no matter what it was, we were either taking it or we were thinking about taking it. I learned a lot of other things together with Wayne in those 8 months. The following are a short sum of them. I learned that there's a thing called a plug you should put in your boat before you launch it. I remember him asking me after seeing water come in, "Did you put the plug in?" To my response was, "What is that?" That he could truly make anything, as I saw him turn a baby stroller into a hunting ATV trailer. That we could burn anything at Wayne's fire pit, no log too small or couch too big. That the words out of Wayne's mouth, "You see the scum line on that boat," meant I was rolling up my sleeves and washing the boat that day. That 4 hours after installing a door handle together, there was somehow a way to put it in backwards. That even if you didn't need to know, you were going to know what Wayne was having for dinner because of the pictures he sent. He even sent them to me sometimes when I was the one who took the picture. That there was always something to know in the world by the videos and posts he would send in Facebook Messenger. In all seriousness, I learned that his smile and his laugh were contagious. I learned that he had a soft spot. I learned that he truly cared for every single person in his life, even if he didn't always show it. I learned that he cherished things, no matter the age, condition, or price. I learned that he always would put a smile on your face, whether he meant to or not. Wayne truly valued things for what they were. This can be said for all of us, as he truly valued every single person here today. But the most important thing I learned from Wayne was a three-letter word called fun. Many of you might have heard him say, "as long as you're having fun," right? Wayne taught us no matter the situation, whether it was in the deer stand not seeing anything or on the St. Croix fishing for hours not catching a thing but a sunburn, to make life a little bit of fun out of it, to see the memories and things, have fun in the moment. Everyone here and on the video stream has a connection to Wayne. Notice how I said has, not had, as had would mean he's out of our lives forever. But truly, he will be with us every single day in our hearts, minds, and prayers. This time is not meant for tears, sorrow, and sadness, but a chance for all of us to celebrate his beautiful life and the endless good times that came with it. As I come to the end, let us carry with us the memories and lessons we have learned from him. May his spirit continue to inspire us to live each day with love, kindness, and gratitude. Though he may no longer be here physically present, his impact will forever remain. Let us find solace in knowing that he is at peace, watching over us, and that his memory will be cherished for generations to come. May we honor his legacy by living our lives to the fullest and spreading the light he brought into our lives. May you rest in peace, Wayne. We all love you very much. Thank you.
I mean, I'm telling you, you throw an altar call and an offering in there, and you got Sunday going on.
Now we'd like to call forward Tiffany, Declan's mother. She's going to be sharing a few words with all of you. So please give Tiffany your undivided attention. Take it away, Tiffany.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. And this is not 40 pages long. It is large print. Okay. I hope Declan's speech brought a few smiles. We've watched it a few times and still proud every time. First of all, a sincere thank you for every one of you coming today. We have been so touched by all of you who have reached out so generously in infinite ways to make this day extra special for Declan. When Declan first passed, Pat and I debated whether to hold his celebration in Minnesota or Arizona. It's been 4 years since Declan was home, so we wondered who might show. Thank you all for taking the time to spend a few hours with us honoring our son and reminding us why Declan and our family will always call Arizona home. With others kindly stepping up today to speak on the many different aspects of Declan's life, as his mom, I have the unique privilege today to share his gentler and funnier qualities and stories you may not know. Declan was born July 3rd, and like a giant firecracker, exploded into our lives, lighting up our whole world instantaneously. He was originally due on the 4th of July, the same day as Pat's mom, as it turned out. But our OB decided to have a last-minute pool party. Pat and I were crushed. Declan was specifically scheduled 3 weeks early because doctors were predicting he would weigh between 10 and 12 pounds. So we knew even then something big was about to come into our lives. To this day, the family celebrates Declan on the 3rd and the 4th. As a kid, we told him those fireworks were just for him, that everyone celebrated his birthday. So fireworks still hold special meaning for our family. Except the 4th, Declan and Pat decided to set off professional-grade rockets at our lake house. Sensing impending disaster was imminent, Maddie and I took cover on the second-story deck of the house, as far as we could get, afraid for our lives. 3 rocket launches in, our only warning sign was a 5-foot-high spray of gold sparks igniting a bit too close to the ground, and a lot of shouted expletives, immediately followed by the steel barbecue suddenly ricocheting rapid-fire missiles at Maddie and I, exploding in every direction. While my girl child and I were screaming and diving for cover, we slowly started to make out different noises drifting up to the deck. Oh my God, I thought, did the boys lose a limb? Was it shouts of concern, promise of rescue? Nope, the boys were rolling in the grass, gasping for breath, in absolute complete hysterics. Mad as a hornet, I ran down, giving Pat an earful about putting our son's life in danger, which only made them laugh even harder. I can honestly tell you it was the hardest Declan has ever laughed in his life. While Maddie and I were not equally amused, it is a favorite story told every year. As a baby, Declan's nickname was HG Happy Guy. He was truly the easiest going baby who never stopped smiling. As a young boy, he never stopped moving. Sports became an outlet for him and a few hours of respite and amusement for Pat and myself. Like many of you, we were forever racing around trying to support whatever the kids took an interest in. Every spring, we'd open up the Parks and Rec directory and let them decide. Martial arts, theater, chess, violin, alligator wrangling, I promise you, they tried it. Later, it was scuba with his friend Jack. Maddie's personal passion was competitive cheer for nearly 10 years. Our best memories are traveling the country to watch her compete and win nationals multiple years. What some may not know is Declan also did competitive cheer, also winning nationals multiple years. After endless months sitting through his sister's practices, Declan spent hours with the male college coaches and gymnasts working at the gym. Shocked by his strength and ability to do collegiate-level stunts so young, a favorite picture on the memory table, they begged us to put him on the team, and just like that, he was front and center where he loved to be, and the crowds always went crazy even then. He loved every moment, and we couldn't have been more proud. To this day, I credit Declan's cheer days with giving our son a kind of confidence rarely seen in someone that young. Not only could he walk into a gym of 200 girls without a single self-conscious thought, he was performing for arenas of thousands, and as a young boy, he became completely gender and colorblind, learning teamwork and acceptance. That confidence even crossed over to the many football camps. At one particular camp, the O-line coach belted out he wanted to see the boys go full out, "I want to see crazy," at which point, to Pat's initial horror and my complete delight, Declan did a cartwheel. I can tell you, in the history of man, there was never a football coach so shocked by what he just witnessed. His reaction is forever burned in my memory. Realizing his composure was shot, the coach just simply bent over in half, laughing hysterically. Later, he came to find us to say it was the best thing he'd ever seen in all his years of coaching. He'd never forget him. "That was my son, unforgettable, you bet." There was something incredibly special about Declan's friends and teammates. Their friendship did not start and stop at the whistle. They spent every spare minute together by choice and truly loved each other. Pat often referred to the boys as a swarm of locusts. Always a group, they would descend on each of our homes, eating everything in sight, then move on to the next. Pat was the absolute best dad to our children, front and center for any activity or school project. He was also required to travel extensively for work, commuting weekly to New York for a year and working in Asia for weeks at a time. So I was a single mom trying to hold down the fort with both kids for many of their high school years. At the same time, I was running my 20-year jewelry business, earning a second degree as a gemologist, showing in the larger craft fairs on the weekends, while also serving on football boosters and running the team's spirit store. It was an incredibly busy time for us all. On many of those weekends, I would barricade myself in our bedroom, attempting to sleep through Call of Duty video game gunfire blasting all hours of the night with Declan and his friends. If not at our house, he was doing the same at his friend Tristan's house. But I knew the boys were home and safe. Minus the time I became aware Tristan's mom was allowing the boys to make long walks up to the store late at night for snacks. Very concerned, I called up Shayla, who exclaimed, "Who the hell is going to try to kidnap Declan and throw him in a van?" Good point, I conceded. Declan loved games of all kinds. Competitive by nature, card games usually evolved into shouting matches, with Connect 4, Monopoly, Uno being his absolute faves. Aside from the now infamous Monopoly takedown by Joe Aiken up at our cabin, Declan never lost, ever, much to his sister's frustration. Not sure I would ever have enough time to devote to his notorious fashion sense. When speaking to a friend who mentioned it recently, I asked her to clarify what era we were discussing. The old man black socks era? The socks with Crocs and gold chains while fishing? The 2018 homeless look? Perhaps it was the neon or paisley with purple size 14 gold lame shoes. Dear Lord. However goofy Declan was, he was an absolute powerhouse, brick wall of intimidation on the field when he went into game mode. With the help of his team, Declan won just about every big man and lineman competition in the state. Coaches loved his footwork and flexibility, often playing both offense and defense in the same game. In college, he went on to play pulling guard, center, even long snapper when needed in a pinch. He made rivals top 5 offensive players, received over a dozen D1 and D2 offers from New Mexico to North Carolina, and crossed the country. But after years of practicing in Arizona triple-digit temperatures, it was his personal dream to play in the cold. His college recruiting visit is a fun story I will save for his beloved coach. But once he took that visit, he knew instantly he had found his home. Throughout both high school and college, some may not know that football requires the boys to do an enormous amount of community outreach and giving back. So from a very young age, whether it was making and delivering blankets to the Children's Hospital, feeding the homeless, gifting families in need, or delivering Christmas trees to those without, Declan and his boys devoted hundreds of hours to our communities. When Maddie left for college and his dad was out of the country much of the time, Declan and I spent most of our time together. Even while in his room doing homework, or more likely on his phone playing video games, his simple presence at home with me was a comfort as large as he was. At the time of his passing, Declan was 6'5", 405 pounds. That presence is something others will speak on today, but as his mom, he will always be my baby, and for Pat, Maddie, and I, the boy, we will miss most. In order to take the time needed to share all we wanted to about our son, there would never be enough time to truly acknowledge and personally name and thank each of his friends and his family for the impact you all made in his life. So we will say those thank yous in person. He loved each of his grandparents fiercely, with all whom he had a very special connection, even naming his golden retriever after Pat's dad, Charlie. Not sure Charlie was as enthused, but took it in stride as always. Unable to see my mother as often as both would have liked, living in a Caribbean island, Declan exchanged correspondence with her since his childhood and shared visits swimming with dolphins, zip-lining, and special memories to last a lifetime. She was also able to see him play and be there for him in his special moments. I would also be remiss not to take the time to thank my father for the particular close bond they shared. From day one, he gave our son infinite opportunities Pat and I could have never done. For that, Dad, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. As his parents, we will always truly be grateful. Declan was very vocal and demonstrative with his love for all his family and friends. There was not a single call or text or goodbye that did not end in "I love you," the very 3 words that were his last to me on Christmas. What better gift could he have given me for all the Mother's Days and Christmases yet to come? In closing, I wanted to acknowledge my son's very special love for his girlfriend Cora, who is not with us today. I put the following video together for you not long after his passing, hoping to express in word and picture how thankful we are to you and your family for loving our son. Love you to all of you for your patience in listening to his mom today. Thank you.
Now we'll all watch together that special dedication video to Cora, Declan's fiancée.
Letters on the sky, burning in your eyes. Letters on the sky, you look at me, burning in your eyes. I wanna catch on fire. You look buried at me, in my soul, babe, I wanna catch on fire. The California gold, it's buried in my soul. You found the light in me that I couldn't find. You found the light in me that I couldn't find. Can't find the words. So when I'm all choked up, every time we say the words, it hurts. Every time we say when the sun goes down and the band won't play. When the sun goes down, always remember us this way. Lovers in the night, remember us this way. Poets trying to write, lovers in the night. We don't know how to run, but down we try. We don't know how to run, but down we try. You're where I wanna go, but all I really know, the part of me that you wanna go will never die. The part of me. So when I'm all choked up and I can't find the words. So when I'm all choked up, every time we say goodbye, baby, it hurts. Every time we say when the sun goes down and the band won't play. When the sun goes I'll always remember us this way. Always remember. I wanna be just a memory, baby. I wanna be just a memory, baby. When I'm all choked up and I can't find the words. When I'm all choked up, every time we say goodbye, baby, it hurts. Every time we say when the sun goes down and the band won't play, I'll always remember us. There's a way, when you look at me. There's a way, and the whole world thinks. Look at me, and the whole world thinks. I'll always remember us this way.
Now we'd like to call forward Declan's grandmother, Penny. She's going to share a few words with everybody. Please give Penny your undivided attention. Take it away, Penny.
"144 days ago, a brand new shooting star left us all behind. We have tried to understand what cannot be understood, that the brightest lights don't burn for long. Sharing our stories has brought us here today to celebrate the life of an amazing young man, loved by so many. To those of you who I have yet to meet, I am Penny Lee, Tiffany Kyler's mother, and Declan's grandmother, my beloved Declan. So many memories. When Declan was little, it was hard for him to sit still, so he had a difficult time with his reading. I started mailing him crazy, silly postcards of animals and funny people with goofy messages from his Jima. Inappropriate toilet humor was a big hit. He ran to check the mailbox. I live on a tropical island full of lush jungle and a plethora of bugs. I captured all kinds of creatures in glass jars, stink bugs, ferocious rhinoceros beetles, huge centipedes. The creepier, the better. I sent them off. How they cleared customs, I don't know. And the more horrified his mother's reactions, the more Declan and I roared in fits of hilarious laughter. It was our special collection. Declan, as a young teen, came to visit me. Imagine coming to an island where I had no TV, no video games, or electronic devices. What a champ. We snorkeled with turtles, bet on crab races, and watched the beach fire dancers. Declan took a steel drum class. In minutes, playing, dancing, laughing. So good the band started backing him up. Excited, his drum mallet suddenly went flying through the air. A first for my friend, his teacher. The second night of his visit, hang on here. Whoop, I lost my place. The second night of his visit, the power went out. A very common experience. Declan was alarmed. Jima, what do we do? I explained we could go to bed very early or light all the candles and just talk. He thought about that for a few minutes and then said, "But Jima, the lights went out." The highlight of his trip was camping on the beach. A friend was an Eagle Scout leader and had all the gear. At sunset, the two-man tent was pitched. Under the stars, we told island ghost stories around the campfire. Getting late, my friend asked Declan to walk me home. Who, me? It's very dark on the jungle path, but only 100 yards to my house. As we were walking along the beach path, I suddenly heard the scream of a young girl and got hit in the back hard. It was Declan, pointing. I shone the flashlight down to see a herd of ghost crabs clattering across the sand in the moonlight, so protectively shoved them to the side with my foot. Declan shouted, "Oh, isn't this just great, and you're an island rescue?" At the front door, I handed Declan the flashlight, and he turned white, realizing he had to walk back alone. As I watched the flashlight beam flying through the jungle, it occurred to me we might just have an Olympic wide receiver in the family. About 1 a.m., a squall blew in, thunder, lightning, and torrential rain. Declan had made friends with the local dog Mindy, who was whimpering nearby. Declan unzipped the tent and dragged in this drenched, sandy, smelly dog. Within minutes, Declan sat bolt upright, shouting, "My nostrils are closing, my nostrils are closing." He then grabbed the only dry item in the tent, a beach towel, blew his nose loudly with a relieved, "Thank God," and passed out until morning. The week flew by and it was time to leave. My friend was departing on the same flight and arranged for Declan to fly with him first class. As they were checking in, he ran outside, grabbed me in a bear hug, and asked, "Am I really flying first class? Does that mean I get seconds?" It all seems a blur between football scholarship competitions, college applications, high school graduation. Declan was off to college. I was excited to attend one of his football games, later spending time in his college house, surrounded with his roommates, friends, and teammates. The energy was electric. Declan, so happy. Once back home, Tiff and Pat showed me how to watch his games live on my laptop. In retail, weekends are work days, so there I would watch his games. One day, the score had me on the edge of my chair, apparently yelling, "Go, go, go, get him, get him." My security guard, hearing the commotion, came bumbling through my front doors, terrified, waving his rusty pistola. "Donde, donde, donde, where?" To calm the situation, I tried in my horrible Spanish to explain my grandson was playing football on TV. "Football? No, not soccer, football americano." I pointed out Declan, and the Louise sat down and watched in amazement. Soon thereafter, I became a celebrity of the security guard community, often hearing, Declan, sedente seis. Declan, number 76, and so much more. I have searched long and hard for a way to live in this world without Declan, and this is what I came up with. I know he is with us today. Dearest Declan, I don't understand why your story suddenly had to end. I thought I had you with me for the rest of my life. Every day I will think about you, talk about you, tell your stories. Your pictures bring you back to life. That way, you are with me, alive, in my memories. I no longer try to stop crying. I know that each and every teardrop is a special memory of you and me. Every day I know in my heart that as long as I remember you, as long as we remember you, a part of you will always be here with us.
Thank you, Penny. Now we'd like to call forward Pete and Linda, Declan's godparents. They'll be sharing a few words with us. So please give Pete and Linda your undivided attention. Looks like they've got some props here.
My husband's not much of a talker, so he's going to do the point.
Make sure to use that microphone so everybody can hear you.
Mainly want to thank Pat and Tiffany for letting us be part of their life.
There you go.
You want me to hold that?
Well, you can get on that side. Well, we met Decky and the Kyler family right after we moved in our house 23 years ago. And we really didn't, I don't have any memories of him until he was about 4 years old. And by then I had a little granddaughter, Kaylin. And they were the best of friends forever. And this is just some of our experiences we had with Decky. We took him to the snow. He went to Flintstone Village and he played like he was Fred Flintstone. We used to have we called it Peaks Bike Club. All the kids on the block would ride bikes with us, and oh God, sometimes, you know, we're older and they would ride and go in front of us, and I thought, oh my God, they're gonna make us fall. So finally we'd go while they were in school, but we'd always get together in the evening with a few of them, you know, and tell them, now don't ride in front of us so we don't fall. Let's see, here's Disneyland. He loved to go to Hole in the Rock, and he would climb where it looks like he's gonna fall off that cliff, but we didn't let him get that close. And this one here is Kaylin. She just loved him so much, and she'd made him a little sign, Decky, I want to play with you. And here they're sharing food. He loved to come over and cook with me, but his most favorite thing was eating the food. At one time, Pete decided he's going to make a fire and let the kids all have a marshmallow roast. So this is some of the kids on the block with Decky and Maddie having a marshmallow roast. Here's Decky. He loved to bake and eat. He loved to go to Texas Roadhouse on his birthday, and his favorite part on his birthday was getting to ride that horse, you know, because they made a big deal, and he got a ice cream sundae or something. He loved to be the center of attention, and he loved to be thought of. By the time you'd leave Texas Roadhouse, everybody would be singing to him and making him a big deal, because everybody loved Decky. Right after, about 14 years ago, I had cancer. And about a year after I had cancer, we took Decky to Disneyland. So we got a wheelchair for me because I didn't think I could walk all over it. Who gets the wheelchair? Grandpa, and Decky's pushing him.
I do have a bad knee.
Yeah, but he couldn't make it, but I made it okay. But there's old Decky hanging through for Grandpa. Every Monday we would go to Amazing Jake's. He loved to go there, and he'd ride all the rides, and he loved the all-you-can-eat dinner afterwards. And he loved to go to the Goldstone, Ghost Town, whatever it's called, Goldfield. So he was playing, he's a cowboy there. He dressed the hilt, he had his cowboy boots and everything on, his hat. And this is one time Maddie and Pablo's and Monica's girls came over, and Maddie, and we were making cake pops, and I was teaching them how to make pepperoni rolls. And they brought their violins and they serenaded us while I cooked and while they cooked. And on our 25th wedding anniversary, oh, my sweet little Decky, here's him. He took over our microphone, and he's the head of the show. I mean, everybody left there laughing and loving Decky. He's just like a natural MC. This was the last time we got to see Decky. I guess he'd come back to see his mom or sell the house or something. And then this is, my granddaughter couldn't make it, but this is her story. They loved to go to McDonald's. They loved to bake and eat together. He liked to wear his little Christmas hat. He loved to celebrate Christmas. He loved to come over to the house. Oh, and this is the best story of all. He used to drive her around in this little Jeep, and one day she says, "On October 28th, I'm gonna marry Decky." And Decky says, "Oh, no, you're not." There's them playing cowboy. He always had his arm around her. If you look at all the pictures, he was her big protector, like a big brother. He was more like a brother to her. There's a bike club. This one time I decided I had a lot of bubbles, and all the kids in the neighborhood were there, and there's Decky having his bubble party, blowing bubbles with all the kids. And there's another one of Hole in the Rock. There's him, little cowboy hat. He liked to hear me play the piano, and sometimes he'd sing with me if it was Christmas songs. And then it's him and Kaylin messing around. And Pete had got some kind of big appliance, and for some reason all the kids in the neighborhood wanted to play with that dumb big box. They shared the same straw. They were so close, drank out of the same straw. Goofy golf, McDonald's in the Toyland. And Decky, he got a big wheel one year. So what does Kaylin have to do? She has to do everything Decky does. So we had to get her a big wheel too. And we just want to thank you for sharing your son and daughter with us all these years, because he was surely a treasure to us. We never wanted him to go home. We'd have kept him forever. He would have never gone home if we had our way. We just loved him to pieces.
From where you guys are at, you couldn't see that Maddie was in here, but Maddie was a lot of fun also until she outgrew us. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us, Pete and Linda. Now we'd like to call forward his sister, Madison. She's going to be sharing a few words with all of us. Please give Madison your undivided attention. Take it away, Madison.
Alrighty, my watch just told me my heart rate is high, so we'll try and get through this. Ladies and gents, families and friends, and those who just wandered in looking for the buffet table, I promise it's coming. Thank you all for gathering here today to celebrate who I call my not-so-little brother. So picture this. I've just finished a super long day of high school, 5 hours of classes, 6 a.m. cheer practice, and it is my very first day driving my car by myself with my new license. I'm getting ready to run to Starbucks with my newfound freedom, but Mom calls me to remind me I now have to go pick up my brother from football practices. My very first question, where am I going to put him? For those who may not know or remember, I drove a convertible Bug in high school, with not much room for more than my backpack and myself. I pull up to the field at the back of the school, truly curious how this is going to go. I spot Declan walking towards my car, and the kid is still in his pads. But surely he's going to take them off before getting in, right? As this thought enters my head, it's quickly replaced with the observation that Declan is not alone. His fellow football buddy Brendan is also in tow, with an offer for a ride home, unbeknown to me. Refusing to take off their pads, I now have 2 large, sweaty football boys attempting to fit into my Bug, clown car style. I finally make the decision to take the top down to make some room, and after a tight squeeze, the boys decided that Baby by Justin Bieber was going to be their song of choice, blasting from my little convertible with sunflowers in the window and a sparkly license plate. They were damn near hanging out of it, but they were having the time of their lives. All to say, Declan lived absolutely carefree. He didn't care or even think about the judgment of others, something I always admired him for and tried to emulate in myself. We'd spend many days in the summer riding our bikes up to QT or Sonic, excited to get a slushie on a hot day, only to realize we never really thought through the fact that you have to carry the drink in one hand and attempt to steer with the other. And there were many slushies that simply did not make it home. To him, it was always about the fun of the journey anyway, and the fact that we once again got away with stealing a couple bucks out of Mom's purse. Sorry, Mom. Fast forwarding back to high school, Declan quickly became the big man on campus in all sense of the name. Here I was, trying for the last few years to make a name for myself and fit in with the cool kids, only to become Declan's sister throughout most of my senior year. I often showed my displeasure with this on the outside, but on the inside, it was the best compliment I could ever receive to even be associated with him. Even while I was away at college, the influx of text messages and Snapchat videos, often with the caption, "Girl, look at your brother," were the highlight of my day. Whether it was him getting into an argument with our Spanish teacher, Mr. Myers, about who stole his snacks that day, or doing the worm in front of the entire school at pep rallies, Declan never failed to be the life of the party. We had a pretty consistent running joke with one another that God forbid anyone ever described us as someone who would light up a room, because those were the people that always ended up the subject of an episode of 2020 or Forensic Files. But as cliche as it sounds, that's what the kid truly did. He found some way, anyway, to make you laugh or even smile when you felt it was impossible to do, even if he didn't know you. Declan and I shared our own language, as my parents would call it, mostly made up of TikTok or social media references that would have us in fits of laughter that only he and I could understand. Our only arguments we ever got in over the last few years were centered around draft stock and football players and his never-ending grudge after he found out that when we were kids, I would get to come out of my room during designated nap times before he was allowed to. We finally learned to reconcile once we learned what a terrible decision that was on my end, as naps are a hot commodity these days, especially once you get to college. I've struggled early on looking for signs of him, often just telling myself it was a coincidence when I would see or hear things that reminded me of him. But to my full belief now, out of the kindness of his own heart, he made an appearance at this year's national championship for women's basketball. As some of you may know, I now work at the University of South Carolina, and South Carolina and Iowa faced off in the title game last month in Cleveland that I had the honor of attending and working. After a horrendous start on our end, facing a 20-9 deficit in the first quarter, things finally began to pick up the pace in the second half, where we flipped the tables on Iowa. In the final quarter, with just under 7 minutes to go and a national championship becoming closer to reality, I heard the ESPN broadcaster to my right mention on air that South Carolina now had its largest lead of the game. I looked up at the video board to check, and the score was Iowa 62, South Carolina 76. As the final buzzer went off and the confetti fell from the sky that night, I couldn't help but give up a big smile towards the rafters, thanking him for helping so many people on that court's dreams come true, including my own. Speaking of games, Declan was a master of any and all board and card games, Uno and Monopoly in particular. For Christmas this year, I found a box of the newly released Uno No Mercy, which included a plus 25 card and other heinous punishments, with the smallest glimmer of hope that it would be what I needed to finally beat this kid at this damn game. He opened it on Christmas over FaceTime and was quick to tell me that I better prepare to take an L the next time we get together and play it. We did never get that chance to play, and part of me wishes I could pull an Uno reverse card on the events of just the following day. But now I can only imagine he's somewhere up there getting his hand ready for the day we meet again, and I get my ass whooped again. But until then, as I said when I saw him for the last time in his physical form, thanks, bud, for now giving me at least a fighting chance at winning something for once. But don't get too comfortable, bud. I'll be practicing down here, and I'll be coming for you.
Thank you, Madison. Nicely done. Now we're going to watch a short video of Declan's dance recital. Now I'd like to call forward Tristan, Declan's childhood best friend. Please give Tristan your undivided attention. Take it away.
Is this close enough? Is this good? All right. I'm going to be reading off my phone because no way I'm coming up with this just from my thoughts. But please keep in mind I have posted a majority of this speech on his memorial website, but I feel it's important to read it as well, as it contains some of my most raw emotions right after it happened, and I had a feeling I might be asked to speak. The night that I found out, I pretty much had a feeling. I'll start by saying the most scary part of today wasn't actually speaking, but more seeing Tiff and Pat, my second mom and dad, after a number of years. It was a similar expression to the time that I took Declan to Boy Scouts for the first time, and we had played Capture the Flag at 11:30 at night. Not the smartest idea we ever had. The next time I saw Declan after that, he walked out of his head with, Tiffany would know how many stitches, but there was a lot. A smile and a very concerned Tiffany to talk to my very guilty scout leader. That doesn't mean I'm not nervous, so it could be a bit rushed. After thinking about it for the last 5 months or so, I realized that Declan and I never actually called each other a friend, but only brother since the beginning, so please understand why I refer to him this way throughout. Big Deck was definitely a Kyler, but he was also a farmer through and through. Some didn't know the true extent of how close we were throughout the past 15 years. In third grade, at just 7 years old, I was in Miss Moore's classroom, and they decided we would have a project pairing with kids from another class, Miss Howard's. Both Declan and I were the only ones not in a pair, and honestly, at first, that's all I could think about. Until I realized that I had found the most loyal and caring brother/friend anyone could hope to find. He almost immediately invited me to hang out at his house, asked his dad for an Xbox because I had one, and that was the beginning of some of the best years of my life thus far. Keep in mind, I'm going to expose Pat a little bit here. The first time I ever got in his car, Declan and him were so excited to show me this poop song from YouTube. First time, and remember, this is the first time I'm meeting Pat, so I was sitting there wondering what I just got myself into. Over the next almost decade, Declan, Spencer, and I would play more video games than any healthy human should. More midnight candy and snack runs. Our group all knew the employees there close enough to call them friends as well. Have more than a few camping adventures and create more memories than I ever thought possible. For one, anyone that's played the video game Rainbow Six Siege, which was Declan's favorite, you will know there's friendly fire enabled. I see Spencer laughing over there. You can imagine this made for countless funny YouTube level moments for our group of friends. As everyone said earlier, whenever Declan would be the subject of this hazing, lately he would say, "Oh, here we go." And you knew the next round would be very hectic when he attempted to get me or Spencer back. These memories are ones that I will keep with me until the day I see him again. One of the 1,000 times when we were younger, Declan and I were playing catch with my dad, and he bet my dad the cost of the snack run that night, which was usually $20 to $25. that night that he could hit the small rectangular street sign with a football spiral at a minimum of 20 yards away. Keep in mind at this time we were maybe 10 or 11. With one throw, my dad and I watched as the ball fell after its momentum was cut short by the impact of that sign. Safe to say my dad sat there wondering if what he had just witnessed was reality as he got ready to take us to the corner store Tiffany mentioned earlier. Over his college years, we spent more time building our own lives as we each battled with responsibilities piling up. But that didn't mean that we didn't reach out at least once or twice a week to make sure things were headed in the right direction still. In the last few months, Declan and I were talking a lot more as he had graduated and had a break until his new job he had just accepted started up. In the last 5 months or so, I've had almost every side of pain I didn't know was truly possible. The one side, I was hoping these were up here, forgot, is time. Time without the laughter that Big Deck brings to the farm with family room, whether it be his frequent FaceTime calls or surprise visits. Time without his bear hugs. Time with knowing I can no longer log into the games to play a couple of siege matches just for an excuse to sit and talk. Time without the opportunity to call him, as I always did, for the tough take he gave on life advice. It was always, get over it. In some way, or some words or another. Time without the memories we all expected were coming, like my best man speech, going camping for numerous more hilarious sitcom moments, our kids growing up together, and most importantly, going through the pain of loss together that comes naturally. I also just want to put my apology in here to one of my greatest allies in the game of life. Declan, I want you to know that I will always carry my guilt for never having been to Minnesota to sit with you. You invited me plenty of times, and I always found some reason I could not fly out. Whether it be work, family, or some other reason. And while these reasons were important at the time, they did not matter more than the additional time I could have spent learning all I could from you about keeping positive during adversity, because those closest to you knew that you mastered that skill from a very young age. I cannot lie, I'm lost, and even more scared to find out what the rest of my life looks like without you to hold me up. But on a more optimistic note, I want you to know that the group that you, Spencer, and I started all those years ago will continue on growing to create more stories for when we get a chance to sit around the campfire and tell you everything. I say that last part even though I know you'll be right there watching over us while laughing at the good and finding subtle ways to remind us we're not alone during the bad. On Christmas Day, I had a deep, bad feeling in my stomach. I actually made sure to text each one of my 6 closest friends a personal voice message detailing how grateful I am for their form of guidance over my life and how much I truly appreciate their lifelong friendship. Declan had responded that night with, "Merry Christmas, brother. Love you too, man." That was the last communication I shared with him. Don't worry, only 2 paragraphs left. To Tiffany, Pat, and Maddie, I want to say that if you ever need anything or want to talk to someone who remembers Little Deck like you knew him, please call me at any time. You will always be a second family to me, and I've just had a hard time wording what I want to express. I think Declan, Spencer, and I all had our own demons in one form or another, and with that being said, I think video games just gave us all an escape from the harsh realities of the 3rd grade issues we were all facing in a brotherhood we could realistically rely on at the time, should we need to. Eventually that definitely became football for Declan. I will never be able to repay you for the ability you gave me to experience having an older brother to turn to when I felt like I had no one else. To Cora, I know you and I have talked more in the past week, and remember this is written from before when I first found out, than we have in 4 years, but I want you to know that you can always call. I really do believe after speaking with you that the two of you were made for one another, as your sense of humor and advice show more Declan than he ever did. I know I already told you this, but I'm going to say it again. I've known my brother for a very long time, and while he did get happy, it seemed to me everyone rarely saw the true excitement he got when he was jumping up and down for something. He would ramble faster and you could feel the love he was channeling. It kind of reminded me, honestly, of a kid on Christmas after receiving their main item from Santa. I would have to tell him to slow down so I could understand what he was saying, multiple times. This only occurred maybe 10 to 15 times while I've known him, half of which were about Cora and how lucky he felt to have found someone that really saw Declan for him. Not only the exaggerative football player, bigger than life personality he had most of the time, but instead he not only knew, but bragged to me continuously about how he knew you would love him while also knowing his fears, his true doubts, and his real ultimate struggles. Thank you, Cora, for giving my brother a safe, unconditional rock and a space he knew the real and sometimes teddy bear Big Deck could come home to.
Thank you for sharing, Tristan. Now we're going to watch 2 quick videos with Declan in a kayak.
They have now low-rided so much that the boat is sinking and they're floating apart. Dear.
Tackle box, go to the boat. Where's my fishing pole?
Yeah, capsized.
Where's the fishing pole?
Now we'd like to call forward Jack, Declan's high school best friend. Please give Jack your undivided attention. Looks like a mini Declan here. Take it away, Jack.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jackson, if you don't know me. That was me swimming back for the boat. Honestly, seeing that video now, it's like if we felt like we're a lot further out than it looked, okay? I felt like I was like a mile away at the time. You also don't see like I had a jacket on, jeans, it was cold out, and we were swimming. I felt like we were gonna die. Anyway, yeah, Deck and I started to grow super close when we got to Skyline High School together. We both played football there. As soon as we met, I knew we'd become really close friends. Deck's one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my entire life. We didn't just become friends, he became my brother. There was a portion of our lives where I think I basically lived at Pat and Tip's house. I think it was like junior, senior year. I was going over there, eating all their food, and playing Madden. We spent a ton of time together, of course, because playing football and going to camps, school. And then we traveled sometimes during the summer together, and those were probably our best memories so far. One of our first trips ever was going to Mexico. We went to their beach house and we did a ton of stuff there. It was super cool. But I vividly remember going into town to look at all the stuff all these vendors were selling in Mexico. Nope, this is my only time I've ever been out of country at the time. Never been to Mexico. So as soon as I go into town, I need sunglasses. I find a vendor that had these Ray-Bans. And yeah, so we went over there. I kind of went by myself. The guy said, they cost $100, gave him the $100, grabbed the Ray-Bans and left. I walk over to Declan and Declan just starts laughing at me because he asked how much I paid for them. And I was real confused. He's like, you didn't negotiate with them? And yeah, I just bought the sunglasses for the $100. And quickly, I went back to him, like I said, and then, you know, I didn't really believe him that you had to negotiate with these guys. So Declan showed me. We then went over to another vendor who was selling these real Rolexes, all gold. And so I was like, all right, let's go. And I think he originally wanted like something crazy, like $350 for these Rolexes. And then Declan proceeds to go up to him, and we got a 2-for-1 deal, $30, gold Rolexes. The worst part about that whole story is we went back to the beach house after we bought all that, feeling like kings, gold Rolexes, shades. We went back to play Madden, and Aiken was there at the time. And we get into the room, and I don't know if it was Brendan that sat on them or Declan, but one of them sat on my Ray-Bans I just got, and Declan swears it was Brendan, but Brendan swore it was Declan at the time. And I just bought some $100 Ray-Bans. I was really pissed. Honestly, I'm not even reading this anymore, so anyway. Declan was one of my groomsmen in my wedding, recently got married. We went to Vegas for my bachelor party. That was a great time. Can't tell too many details of that story. One of the main things I remember, though, was Ubering. Ubering was the absolute worst with Declan. He is 400 pounds and huge. So if you try to fit 3 guys into the back of a Ford Focus, with Declan being one of them, it is not fun. Steven can talk about it. There was one time where he was literally sticking out of the sunroof, and the entire drive home or to the hotel, our Uber driver just talking about how big Declan was. It was so funny. No, yeah, Declan's been such a big blessing in our life, and once the wedding came around, he was tons of help, setting everything up and making sure I was prepped for everything. He just kind of took on that role as, the man he was. He didn't, have like that specific role, but he was just making sure everyone was cool. Same thing at the bachelor party. Yeah, such a blessing during the wedding. If you weren't there, you missed out because he gave the best speech I've ever heard in my entire life. I'll remember that part of my wedding forever. And I don't know how Declan learned to give speeches like that, but they are good. I posted this speech on my Instagram, so if you haven't seen it, go do it. At the wedding, he told the story of us kayaking together, which you guys all just watched. Such a fun time. You guys have heard the story from his side at my wedding, but I want to tell you my point of view. So we traveled up north with his family, and we go into the garage, we see the kayak, and Declan loves fishing, so we were hyped. Then I read the kayak's label, and it says 450 pounds max for this 2-person kayak. I then urged Declan to go kayaking with me and go fishing. Declan was trying to tell me not to do it, but we did it anyway. So we're out there, we went fishing. We honestly didn't catch anything that day, so we quickly went in, as you guys saw. And we were going out, and there's a dock that we're supposed to come back into. But Declan was telling me, no, man, we need to go inside. We need to go back into the shore. And I was like, dude, no, we don't. We're good. He's like, there's water in the kayak. I'm like, I'm dry. I don't know what you're talking about. Declan was in the back of the kayak, so it's like this. And he's just getting soaking wet in the back, and he keeps yelling at me. And then at a point, we just started like shaking like this. And I thought Declan, because he's super funny and a goofball, I thought he was shaking the kayak. So now I'm screaming at Declan, like, stop shaking the kayak. And then, yeah, you saw we capsized. Yeah, so we're sitting no, sorry, I lost my spot here. That's pretty much it. Yeah, Declan had the kindest heart and soul. I just wanted to tell those stories. He made everyone happy, like everyone has said. Love, miss you, Dec, and love you guys. Thanks for letting me talk.
Thank you for sharing with us, Jack. And we're going to watch a video of a few of Declan's legendary dance performances.
Bubble butt, bubble, bubble, bubble butt, bubble butt, bubble, bubble, bubble butt.
Now I'd like to hear from a few of Declan's teachers. We're going to begin with Brenda. Is Brenda in the house? So please give Brenda your undivided attention. Take it away, Brenda.
Hi. Everybody hear me? So I wasn't actually one of Declan's teachers, but I had the privilege of getting to know Declan and many of the boys and the kids because I was one of the booster moms that got to work with everybody at Skyline. So for 4 years, I got to know the kids really well, including Declan. And I got to know his great personality and the Kylers really well. And Declan was just a kid that, like everyone said, some things I remember is that he loved to give us huge bear hugs and his sense of adventure, and Declan could run a room and make everyone feel welcome. At one point, Tiffany and I were emailing back and forth some things that she touched on too, but Declan had they asked him to be the student greeter at Skyline. And I said I wasn't sure how that happened. It wasn't personally me involved in that decision, but Declan was definitely the perfect choice. Declan loved being a Skyline Coyote, and we all know about his football, but he loved and supported, I think, every part of the school. Not everybody might know this, but Declan was pretty much part of the pom team. Declan traveled back and forth from all their competitions. I think Declan and Pat even went to California every year with the pom team to support them, and he was involved with that. He loved the volleyball team. He was on the volleyball team and did excellent at that. I think he was like, I don't know, like all region or something 1 year on the volleyball team. He was amazing. It was so fun to watch. But he also was like the girls' volleyball team, like one of their most amazing cheerleaders, went to all those matches. The basketball team, like Declan was in the know. He knew all the staff. He could make a connection with every student, and so I can't imagine anyone else that would be the welcome wagon at the front of any school that would welcome every student with any interest and from any walk of life. Skyline would, Declan would definitely have been the best greeter. When I first met Declan, I think my son Noah was going into the 8th grade when we met the Kylers, and yes, one of the first things I noticed about Declan is the kid was doing cartwheels on the field after practice. That is not a lie. And I was told that he had been that he had been in cheer and tumbling. Then I also noticed the high leg kicks, like it wasn't too long, and that came later. Also, one of my dearest memories of Declan was the Friday morning pep assemblies at Skyline that became really popular, and by Declan's senior year, he got a set of pom-poms, and he was, I think, in front of the cheerleaders leading the squad, and the leg kicks were my favorite part. I have told many other football players, linemen specifically with my son over the years, about the most limber lineman I think I knew that was now in Winona, Minnesota, that could do cartwheels, leg kicks, and everything else. I thought maybe a backflip in there, and that they should all keep working towards that. They weren't limber enough till they could do what Declan Kyler could do. To me, Declan was as famous for his charm and, yes, his sense of style as he was his football pancakes and his athleticism. Declan had a sense of style, and I loved how he was not afraid to show it. The kid was huge, and a lot of, bigger boys were, always afraid to wear anything, do anything, but not Declan, and I love that vulnerability about him. From turquoise suspenders to the gold shoes, I will never forget. Declan did Declan. I would tease him when I'd see him at Skyline showing up in basketball shorts, cut-off t-shirts, huge gold chains, a variety of socks. But he'd just always smile at me, give me a big hug and that laugh. And I mean, that's all you need to pull it off, right? Maddie, when we first met you guys, I always thought it was so great to see the sibling bond that the two of you had. I always thought that was just amazing, and I always tried to really nurture that with my kids. I'm pretty sure that Declan's confident style choices, dance move, and overall personality had a lot to do with you. I'm always so proud of the way you guys always cheered each other on during your activities, and you were a great role model for all the kids, and so that was always so great. And I know how much Declan admired you, and I know he really felt your love, so that's awesome. I'm sure that's another reason why Declan was so easy to find the love of his life and fall in love with Cora, so great job to you. It's obvious that Declan always loved being part of a tight-knit community, which he really had in high school. I think the boys and all of us really had together. And while at Skyline, Pat and Tiffany were dedicated to countless hours to make sure that that community was available to their kids. And they really passed that sense of service on to them. Pat, you made every parent feel welcome at Skyline in the stands, and you would get us all to cheer the loudest for those kids, and I know Declan loved it. We maybe didn't have the biggest crowd, but we had the loudest crowd, and you led us, so great job. Tiffany spent countless hours with us moms, I know, designing t-shirts, and we had the best spirit store and rocked it, and I know the kids loved coming by, and Declan loved that. So I know Declan learned all this work ethic, this sense of community. He carried it on. Yes, Declan was a smarty too. He didn't always, those boys would hide that, but he sure was, and he carried that on to Winona, somebody that could play football and graduate in 4 years and have a job. And he learned that from you guys and your example of hard work and dedication, and that truly was passed on to Declan. Myself and many other families were inspired by the remarkable pride that Pat and Tiffany showed for Declan and Maddie, no matter what they did. The love and the joy that you guys displayed each time Declan took the field was inspiring to the rest of us. I know that Chad and I learned to cheer louder for our kids and let them know that we love them and we love to watch them play. I know for certain that Declan knew how proud you were of him and his accomplishments. Today, when I continue teaching, there's so many kids that are seeking and even aching for their parents' approval. You too gave Declan unconditional love, approval, and pride. What a gift for such a remarkable young man. I hope more parents take a page out of your playbook and realize that life truly is fragile. And we should all be willing to enjoy our kids to the fullest and give them that unconditional love and support. You guys did things right, and I know that Declan always appreciated how present and invested you were in his life. It was obvious that you were both passionate and engaged, no matter what activity Declan picked, whether it was football, dancing, pep assemblies, award ceremonies, big man, you loved every minute, and he did too. Finally, as I finish, I hope we all remember to take a page from Declan's playbook. Let's remember to embrace each and every moment. Tell your mom you love her. Give your dad a fist pump from the stands. Give that friend a big bear hug. Flash a huge smile. Don't hesitate to tell that girl you love her. Don't be afraid to chase your biggest dreams. Yes, wear the gold shoes. And don't ever think twice about doing that cartwheel. Leave it all on the field. Let's raise our glasses and give a toast to Declan. We love you and we miss you.
Thank you, Brenda. Well done. Well, during COVID, Declan was having a hard time getting his workouts in, so you're going to see a short video of his solution to this problem. Now we'd like to call Coach Northey up to the podium. Ask him if he would share a few words with us about Declan.
To be second. Takes me a while to catch up with this. I'm Mark Northey. I was Declan's American history teacher and also his offensive line coach. All right. One of the joys of coaching is that you get to watch these young players become young men, and I've always enjoyed that. I coached a long time. Declan was on his way to a beautiful life and taken short from us. What I'm going to do, I went through some old texts and stuff, and I'll show you some stuff that, some of the memories that I had of Declan and stuff. After high school, Declan stayed in contact with me, which is pretty rare for a lot of players and stuff. He would text about his games, his bad back issues and surgery and stuff and other things in his life and his new girl and stuff. I had to ask about that. He never told me. All right? In one text, Declan asked me if he could put down me as a reference for a job in Minnesota. He told me that he was applying for work at Menards. Now, Menards is a Home Depot, smaller one. It's like a lumber yard, all right? And so I texted him back, said, yes, you can, sure. And I told him that my nephew worked at Menards. He was in Rapid City. We always thought that Menards was a funny name for a lumber yard, all right? But I texted Declan, I know what you mean, Menards. It is a funny name, I thought. All right, but a few days later, I got a call from Menards. All right, and where'd I go here? Call from Menards. I texted Declan. Kathy from Menards called. She asked me to give her 3 adjectives describing Declan. I told her that he's a people person, that he likes to drive people into the ground. Yeah, but being a line coach, that's what I think of. I said, just kidding, Declan. I didn't tell her that. I told her that you're a team player, hard worker, strong, smart, and a people person. What's funny is that she asked me if Declan could lift 50 pounds. I go, you haven't seen Declan, have you? I said, he's about 6'3", 280 at the time. Now he's 6'5", I guess, and 400. So I thought that was odd. Talk about planting people in the ground. I remember watching a video of Declan playing ball. I think, Tiff, you put it on Facebook or something. and he's playing in college, and it looked like Declan was punched. So I texted him, "Hey Declan, good win. Did you get punched in the game?" He said, "No, I didn't get punched, but I had 3 good dick slides," which you probably don't know anything about that. For a line coach, you probably have. I said, "I'm very proud of you, Declan. That's a nice job." Yeah, well, you can watch the pros. They do it all the time. In the off season of football at Skyline, we always had competitions. We played fetch, potato ball. Fetch, I'd take like a flat football and throw it, and I'd have 2 guys just go chase it and run it down, and they have to fight all the way back. Potato ball's just rugby. And then pre-prawn fight, which is just wrestling, and a lot of big man competitions, a lot of tug of wars, a lot of everything like that. It was a lot of fun. All right, we actually go hiking too. We'd go up to like Usery Mountain or Silly Mountain and stuff, go hiking. But the thing we'd like to do is play handball. All right, and we play that after school a lot. We spent a lot of time together. We spent, he was in my classroom, so I was an hour. Then before school, we were lifting weights, so we spent 3-4 hours a day together. So I got to know him pretty well. In handball, it's like racquetball, but without rackets. And you play with both hands, so you work both sides of the body and stuff. For Declan's size, he was pretty dang good. He was really good. Declan was very competitive, and he's very confident in it too. It was a lot of fun. And he'd always challenge us coaches to play, me and Coach Pafumi. And they always wanted to beat us, all right? The games were always intense, and there's a lot of little cussing going back and forth at us and stuff, so. But I don't recall me and Pafumi ever losing. But I know he would disagree with that. There's certain guys out here who probably disagree with that too. Yeah, they're back there. But I don't recall it. But I'm sure Declan wouldn't be happy with me saying that. But this is going to be, in football, Declan was an offensive lineman. The big boys, as we know. An offensive lineman's job in football is to protect the other offensive players. And Declan was a protector on the field and off the field and in life, because a lot of people out here felt secure when he was around. He was a big man. Declan was a big man. Declan was a strong man. Declan was strong, but he was strong enough to be very gentle too, because he was a gentle man, I know that. That's how I remember Declan. He's a big man, strong man, but he's really gentle. Our relationship was very similar to my relationships with my old coach, Coach Haas. He was my old line coach when I was JV year and stuff and everything. When my mother passed away, Coach Haas called me up and told me that I must stay strong. And that's what I thought when I heard Declan passed away. I thought of my old coach and stuff. And so I give advice to you too, and for everything. So let's stay strong and gentle like Declan, and have a good life. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to share my memories of Declan and stuff, and I really miss him. So thank you very much.
Now we have a special video of another coach in Declan's life, Coach Sawyer. A special interview with Declan.
You know, let's go back to the recruiting trip, because I tell this story, well, at least 1,000 times, and it's only been not even a year yet, but you came up here and it was like 38 degrees below zero, and you were the happiest kid in town.
Oh yeah, I was in a shirt and some short shorts, and I was like, man, this is the place for me.
And tell the story about how Winona even got on your radar.
So I wanted to play in a cold weather school and wanted to obviously play football. And I came and visited the school, very beautiful school, all the coaches, Coach Claw, Coach Sawyer. Coach Claw, I had met down with him personally, had conversations with him. Now he's like one of the best coaches I've ever been around, had the experience with. I get to meet you. All the head coaches that I've been with weren't as, communicative or knowledgeable as Coach Sawyer is. So I think that was pretty special for me. And coming out of here, I knew right away what I was going to commit to. And that's right.
Now you have some relationship to the Midwest. Your grandpa lives in Chicago, and so you have some Midwest people in your family. Was excited about that. Why so?
Oh yeah, that way my grandfather could come see me more often, because over the years I'd see him once, twice a year all the way in Arizona. So now that he comes to the games and supports us, and he's a big Winona State fan now.
Yeah, very good.
I got to ask, I do research and I try to find something interesting to kind of talk about people with, and we talk about multiple sport athletes, and obviously almost everybody is. You were a multiple sport athlete in high school as well, and you played boys volleyball.
Yes.
How did that get started?
So my senior year...
It wasn't beach, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't got the body for it.
Okay.
So my senior year, I wanted to go out for another sport. My junior year, I did track and field. I threw javelin, I did disc, and shot put. My senior year, I was like, I want to try something different. My quarterback always did volleyball. And I was like, hey, man, can I come for a tryout? And he's like, nah, like joking around. I was like, no, I'm serious. Like, let me come out. And so I went out there and I started learning, and I had no idea what was going on, and had to learn the rules. Got thrown in there as a middle and played my tail off, and the rest of the season was great. So I had the time of my life playing a sport I never had. So
it was great seeing some clips of you at the net, jumping up, spiking the ball. I mean, you actually were really good at volleyball.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. I wish I would have done it all 4 years, but I had the time of my life doing something other than football 24/7. But right after volleyball was done, I was like, man, I miss football. So I realized I need to go back to football. So.
Now I'd like to call forward Coach Sawyer to share a few words with us about his experiences with Declan.
What a goof. Well, thank you so much, Pat and Tiffany and Maddie. And of course, I wish Cora would have been here too. What a thrill it is to be here to see this. This is one of the hardest things to do in the world, is to see one of your former players. Coach, we were talking earlier and how hard this is, because you just get them started and they got the rest of their life, and here we are celebrating today. What a beautiful life he had. First I want to introduce my wife, Connie, and she's a professor at Winona State as well, and she was our flexibility, mobility, yoga instructor. And one day in particular, I just had walked in from a long meeting and I was all stressed out, and Connie's getting started, and Declan rolls in with a onesie. We have 130 guys in the room, and that dude walks in with a onesie. I lost it. I just turned and left, and I got home and I said, Connie, what happened? She goes, I never looked. It had to be awful. The journey to Winona, as we talked about in the interview, was really, really pretty cool. Coach Holtzclaw, one day I was sitting in my office on the first floor at the stadium, and they're up in the dark looking at film. And he yells down to me, got on the elevator, and he's yelling, Coach, you got to come and take a look at this kid. And I said, okay, absolutely, let's put him on. We put up his film, and I saw all of you guys on that film. No wonder the team was so good, seeing you guys here tonight. But Coach Claw said, hey, Coach, we've got to check this guy out. And I said, absolutely. We threw him up there. Coach Keller, our offensive coordinator, was there with us, and we're watching about 4 clips, and Coach Keller says, how is this kid still available? And Coach Claw says, well, I guess he wants to play in the snow. And I go, call him, get him up here. We got to have this kid. And in a way it happened. But that meeting I'll never forget, because watching that film, I still today go, I'm not sure how we got him. But I know that the look in his face when he was on that recruiting trip, sitting in my office, walking around campus, yes, short shorts, and a t-shirt, and he was like the happiest guy I've ever seen. I'm like, this is gonna work really well. That visit was 38 degrees below zero, and we walked around campus, and the people on campus were, everybody you walk by, they're like, what in the world? And I'm going, yeah, he's going to be one of our guys. He's going to be, I was claiming him already, and it was awesome. And I was so happy for him to see the excitement in his face about coming to a new place that he really knew nothing about, but you could feel that it was right. And I felt that way too. And it was really fun. Then he moves up in the summer when you guys first came up, and he starts moving in with a couple of our guys, and here's this, not even a freshman yet, and he was like the talk of the town in about 15 minutes. Everybody knew him, everybody wanted to be around him, and everybody was laughing at him, laughing with him and laughing at him, and they had an unbelievable relationship that was building in our team already. And then you start looking at, okay, we get into practice and we're getting ready to go for the season, and we're like, this kid can really, really play. And we had a need, and we had to have a kid that could handle it. Well, physically, there was no question that he was ready to go and play college football. So whatever you guys were doing at the high school level, getting him ready to go to college was the way to do it, because it was amazing. And mentally, he was ready. His football IQ was fantastic. We'd sit and talk zone blocking and down schemes and climbing to the next level. And he's like, yeah, I got this. I did that at this camp and this camp, and it was awesome. And so I knew that his mentality was ready until he started acting like a goofball as soon as practice was over. I'm like, okay, what do we really have here? That was your Declan. That was the one we got and that I'm hearing all about tonight. So fantastic. So without hesitation at all, we put that kid on the field, put 76 on him, and let's roll. And he did it. And he kicked people's butt that have been playing college football for 5 and 6 years. So I was like the most proud guy in the world that my last couple years as coach, I got to spend with that guy, with Declan. It was unbelievable. But I think he really found peace in Winona as well. Trying to balance college football, trying to balance the morning meetings, the lifting at 5 o'clock. That was fun, but it was like football, and then you go to class, and then you go to meetings, and then you go to football, then you go to lunch for about 20 minutes, you come back to football and have meetings, and then hang out with your buddies, and it repeats, and it repeats, and it repeats, and it never stops. But everybody loved it. He loved it more than most. And that's a trait that he learned from all of you, that how to work hard and love it, and he did that every single day. I heard so many opportunities that you guys were talking about, the opportunities he had in the community. And this is a true story, but every time I got, 100 calls a year. Hey, do you got a couple guys that are strong? Well, yeah, we got 130 of them. How many do you want and what time? And they'll be there. And his freshman year, I would call Declan and say, Declan, you got a couple buddies? Coach, where you want me? I'm there. And then pretty soon I'd just call Deck and he would just take care of it. I wouldn't even have to get the other 8 guys we needed. He'd load up that giant, that was the truck bigger than our field? That thing was, it took like 3 parking spots. The thing was awesome. And they would load up and they would go, whether they were moving a fridge for some elderly person or they're moving books at the library, whatever, he did it without question. But there was also some long days in football. There's some tough days in football, but he made everybody else feel good, even if we lost a game or when he was injured. And I remember sitting in a hotel room with you and I, Pat, talking that first day after surgery where he couldn't get to his 2nd floor apartment because his back was all jacked up. And so here he is living the high life in a hotel. He's thinking like, this is what the pros do. So here he's in the worst position as you can be as an athlete, where maybe your career's over, maybe my family's not around, what am I gonna do? And I never heard any of that. What I heard was like, I'm like the king. They're bringing me meals. They're doing my laundry. I might stay all year. But during that time was when I really got to know him best. Bringing him a treat, slushies we're talking about, but a malt or whatever, and just sitting there talking to him about all of you. Talking about the quarterback, talking about the buddies, talking about you guys that he would just release because he was in so much stress and so much pain. But I saw the real Declan that day, or those days, where he just would blurt out about, Grandpa, and he would blurt out about visiting you on the islands. All these things came rushing out of him because he started to feel like he was losing it because he was hurt. But yet, every time that we walked out of there, I felt better as a person myself. And I'm like, I'm not even hurt. I'm limping around a little because I'm old, but that kid is amazing. Living the hotel life was something that he loved. It really was pretty funny. Then there's life on the river. The kayak story over here, they did the same thing with an 18-foot boat that he had, that big orange boat. They go to unload the boat out in the river, and we live right on the Mississippi River, and they're unloading the boat out while him and Coach Claw were going out fishing, and Declan was in the boat as they put it in the water. Well, as soon as that boat hit the water, the thing went straight up in the air, just like the kayak, but now we're a 3,000-pound boat. So the guys grew up, and Coach Claw's hanging on that thing, trying to bring the boat back down so it doesn't sink. And then they go along and they come up by my house and they text me, Coach, you got anything to eat? And I'm like, well, you were just here on Thursday with all the offensive linemen and ate 75 pounds of beef, you know, and what else you want? And there's him and Coach Holtzclaw going about a mile an hour, and the thing was wide open, right past my dock, and there was only about that much room from the water line to the boat line. And I was like, look at these two guys. The first thing I thought of was Dumb and Dumber, the movie. This is unbelievable. So anyway, the big orange boat was something amazing. But I got to ask, is it true? Is he scared to actually touch the fish? Right? The guy he's a giant, and he's got to have gloves or a clamp to touch the sunfish. Believe me. We talked to him about that a lot. Oh, tough guy. I hope that guy from Mankato isn't you looking at him as a fish, you know, like water boy or something. But he absolutely loved being around. At our house, Connie and her family would present meals to our players. Every Thursday night we'd have a different group out. That was all normal, but when the offensive line came out, it was brutal. It was awful because it was like devoured the food that we had here, but it was so awesome. But he wouldn't leave. He wouldn't leave. He's like, you got something else to eat, don't you? I mean, he's going to find something. And he's down in my lower fridge. He's digging out stuff. Hey, I found an ice cream or something like that. But he absolutely loved to be around families and little kids. Coach Claw's kids were hanging on him like a jungle gym. And Coach Keller's kid, that dance thing he was doing, Coach Keller's kid was doing the same thing with him on the sideline during the game. Having barbecues with the staff, with the players, with the kids, that's what he was. That's when he was in his element, and it was absolutely amazing. Life in Winona with him was football and all the stuff that we've all talked about. And then the girl came along, Cora. What a beautiful girl. And it's kind of funny, as we separated, and I retired in 21, and he was done too, so we didn't see each other as much because he's planning weddings and all this stuff. And we were laughing. I saw him in the hallway not too long ago, and I said to him, Declan, tell me more about Cora. Congratulations on your engagement. And this is what I got from him. Yeah, that's what I go, what the hell was that? He goes, well, I love her, Coach. He was so excited about what was coming, and it was just gibberish is what I heard. So it was absolutely amazing. So it was really, really exciting to see that big man so smitten about this young, beautiful girl. And then the last thing I want to say is that, first of all, it's a privilege to be here. We love the fact that you invited us down and be a part of this day. Declan loved all of you. And he loved everybody that had a part in his life. He really did. And he talked to us about it. And we were just a small segment of what all you got. And I am blessed that I got just 4 years of having that dude in my life. And at the very end, thank you to your family for having me here. We appreciate it. We sure do love and miss that dude. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing, Coach Sawyer. Now we have another video of Declan doing his favorite thing, fishing.
I appreciate y'all, yeah, I really do. Brought all these flowers and your black dresses and suits, but y'all know me and you know the truth. That ain't me in that box there in front of you. Can't I just get an amen and y'all just get out of here? I got the best view ever now that I'm way up here, joking around with Jesus, catching up with Grandpa. Hurry up, preacher, I'm telling y'all you should be fishing with a cold beer in your hand. Instead of missing me here, y'all should be missing me there, high up in your deer stand. Save my truck and save my guns, and when they're old enough, give them to my sons. Don't let this waste them on me. I'll tell who you love, how much you love them. Don't just say it, nah, you gotta show them every chance you get to know her better. Remember, forever don't last forever. Take it from me and my brand new point of view. The biggest regret of your life won't be what you did, it'll be what you didn't do. You should be fishing with a cold beer in your hand. Instead of missing me here, y'all should be missing me there, high up in your deer stand. Save my truck and save my guns, and when they're old enough, give them to my sons. Don't let this stained glass shine on y'all too long today. Time is so precious, it ain't gone away. You should be fishing with a cold beer in your hand. Instead of missing me here, y'all should be missing me there, high up in your deer stand. Save my truck, save my guns, and when they're old enough, give them to my sons. Don't let this stained glass shine on y'all too long today. And save the roses, save the roses, save the roses. Don't waste them on me, don't waste them on me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Pat and Tiffany and the whole Kyler family, I'd like to thank you all for coming. Now, I know it means everything to them that you've all come here and spent your time in words sharing about Declan's life. It's amazing to me to see how one life lived right can touch and affect so many people. It's remarkable to see. Now, a little practical announcement. Here where the chairs are, right after I play the final video, the staff here at the venue is going to move these chairs, kind of flip the room, so if everyone would stay clear of that area and just be where the tables are. I think there's food going to be available on the edges. So please enjoy the rest of the evening, or the rest of the day, and this is our final video of the ceremony.
It's fantastic, you can brush my hair, touch me everywhere. Imagination, that is your creation. Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Disposable. In 14 years they are decomposable, and unlike my home, they are not foreclosable. Freddie Mac can kiss my ass. Let's solo cup, I fill you up. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. I love you, Red Solo Cup. I lift you up. Proceed to party. Proceed to party. Now I really love how you're easy to stack, but I really hate how you're easy the ladies get smitten, admiring how sharply my first name is written. On you with a Sharpie, when I get to hitting on them to help me get lucky. Red Solo Cup, I fill you up. Let's have a party. Let's have a party. Let's hear it for Declan. I don't need a decimal meter to know that Declan the birthday was
Thank you, everybody. Now we'll just transition to the rest of our evening, our event. So stay clear of the middle area. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of our festivities.
My girl is banging, she's solo maintenance. Don't need no champagne, poppin' entertainment. Take her to Wendy's, can't keep her off me. She wanna dip me like them fries in her frosty. But every now and then when I get paid, I gotta spoil my baby with an upgrade. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Got that Bourbon Street steak with the Oreo shake and some whipped cream on the top two. Two straws, one check, girl, I got you. Bougie like Natty in the styrofoam. Squeaking in the truck bed all the way home. Just an Alabama jammer, she my Dixieland delight. That's how we do, fancy like. Fancy like. Fancy like. Fancy like. Don't need no Tesla to impress. My girl is happy, rolling on a Vespa. Don't need no mansion to get romance. She's super fine, double wide, slow dancing. But every now and then when I get paid, I gotta spoil my baby with an upgrade. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Got that Bourbon Street steak with the Oreo shake and some whipped cream on the top two. Two straws, one check, girl, I got you. Bougie like Natty in the styrofoam. Squeaking in the truck bed all the way home. Just an Alabama jammer, she my Dixieland delight. That's how we do, fancy like mine. No clean blue jeans without the holes in them. Country kisses on my lips without the skull in them. Yeah, she probably gonna be keeping some Victoria's Secrets. Maybe a little Maybelline, but she don't need it. In the kitchen light radio slows down. Box wine, then her updo goes down. Hey, yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Got that Bourbon Street steak with the Oreo shake and some whipped cream on the top two. Two straws, one check, girl, I got you. Bougie like Natty in the styrofoam. Squeaking in the truck bed all the way home. Just an Alabama jammer, she my Dixieland delight. That's how we do, fancy like.
Girl, our mama's best friends, and so we the whole town's rooting for us like the home team. Most likely to settle down, plant a few roots real deep and let them grow. But we can't stop this real world from spinning us. Your bright lights caught. I don't blame you for picking up your big dream bags. You're all packed up and ready to go. But I just need you to know I love you more than a California sun. forget them. 'Cause I love you more than a California sunset. I love you